A jack of all trades, but a master of none. It's better to do one kick 10,000 times than 10,000 kicks one time. Quality over quantity. You need to stop doing so much magic. What is good, guys? It is Reed and welcome back to another video. Today we got Dear Magicians episode 5, which is on a very important and interesting topic. We're going to be diving into niches and the importance of it. So I highly recommend you stick around and watch this video. I'm going to raise some interesting points, get you to do a bit of self-evaluation and think critically about yourself, and hopefully push you on a path to becoming a better magician. This is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, something that I've always lived by, and I truly believe it is one of the sole reasons that I am where I am with my magic in terms of the skill level and the type of effects I can do, card magic and mentalism related. We are going to talk about a lot of different points here, so I hope you guys are ready. Get your notebook, get ready to take some notes. More than anything, just be open to different points of views. Critically think yourself and reflect, have some good self-reflection, and yeah, let's get into it. So if you guys like these theoretical videos and you'd like to see more, hit that like button, drop me a comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and as always, if you would like to check out some private lessons, you can at the link below. But without any further ado, let's jump right into the video. Dear magicians, pick your niche and master it. Please, for the love of God, stop doing so much magic. Not in terms of the quantity of magic that you are doing on a daily basis, but the different types of magic that you do. Stop doing so much magic. Now, it's important to contextualize the crux of this conversation. If you're the type of person who is a magic historian or maybe a magic geek, right? You love magic, to just learning everything you can, just absorbing information, but you're not all that interested in being able to do it or being able to perform, then this video probably isn't for you. Then again, probably most of the videos I make aren't for you. Maybe you'll like watching my tutorials and figuring out some new secrets, but besides that, that's not what my channel is for. And I really appreciate your support. Don't get it twisted if I'm speaking to you right now. But my channel is meant, if nothing else, to teach people how to become better performing magicians. Whether that is as a hobbyist, just showing your friends, families, or in a professional setting, I'm just trying to bring you high quality effects, high quality sleights, high quality theory, performances, so you can see how it looks in the real world, how you can see someone who does perform in the real world, how it looks, and then break those down to give you even more sort of insight into making mistakes, dealing with hecklers, all kinds of things. So that is the purpose of this channel. If I haven't already iterated that before, here it is now. So with that context, this video is aimed at beginners and potentially much more experienced magicians. Particularly with beginners, we've all been there. We've all had the syndrome. Every single one of us, when we first get into magic, at some point we get bit by the secrets bug. Every secret we want to know. We will pay money. We will go to the ends of the earth. Some people might do things maybe not so ethical to figure out secrets, but whatever it is, you know, we all get bit by that bug, and that's okay. It happens to everyone, where we just want to learn as much as we can. We think we're going to be able to perform it all, maybe because we don't realize that that's not possible, but we just want to learn everything. We see an effect, we see a trailer, you know, we're new, we don't know how it's done, and we just buy it, we just learn it, we just everything. We want to know there's always the new, the next, the best thing. And it's a very tough thing to get out of. But it's not until you've had years in where you realize how much practicality is more important than anything, in my opinion. How much so many effects out there aren't going to suit your style, whatever that happens to be. So many effects aren't going to work for the type of performing environments you want to do. And there really is a need to strip things back and take a more minimalistic approach. In terms of people with more experience, you might still be struggling to figure out that minimalistic approach. You might be the type who struggles to think of what the next trick you're going to do is after you do the first trick. You can't think of what to do next because there's just so many ideas in your head. You might be the type who does a bunch of tricks okay, right? You don't do things great because you have so many tricks. It's hard to put enough time into all of them. So how do you solve this problem, right? Whatever you are, how do you pick your niche? How do you solve all these issues? Well, the key is to pick your niche and master it. First things first, you need to decide what type of magic you want to do. You decide that based on what you want to perform, how you want to convey your magic, how you want your audiences to view you, what kind of experiences you want them to have, maybe what kind of environments you perform in. You need to decide on this. And the easiest place to start is the genre of magic. Do you want to do card magic, coin magic, mentalism, impromptu magic with sort of everyday objects? What type of magic do you want to do? Stage magic, right? There's so many different types. Can you master more than one? Probably, but it's going to take you decades if we're being realistic. I've been doing magic since I was very young, 15 years. But the first 10 of those years were unfocused, just doing all kinds of different types of magic. And then, I gravitated to card magic, and then I spent like a year or two like diving in and really kind of in my move monkey era, And then I dove into mentalism and did like a year of theory and, mentalism. And then I just started going out there and performing and building my skill set and learning the practical theory. And then you get to a point and you realize that all these moves, I barely use any of them. I use the ones that I like, that are practical, that suit the type of magic, the environments, and the things that I'm looking for them to accomplish. I decided that my niche was card magic to start, and I dove in until I got to a very high level where I felt like, hey, I perform at a high level, I can jazz, I can get out of things, I don't really mess up in the sense that I can save things. These are some of the things that you can look for to know when you're at, I don't want to say mastery, right? Because can you ever really master something? But at a point where you should be really confident in yourself, when things start to really come natural to you. And then I wanted a new challenge, and so I took over mentalism, but it's taken a decade for me to, get to a high level in two things. I wouldn't even say mastery, but a high level. And the point is, you need to first decide the type of magic. So what can help you decide this? Well, what do you like? What are you looking for? What do you think is the most entertaining? Is ultimately it comes down to what you want, because you have to love doing it. You have to look at restrictions. Each type of magic maybe has the restrictions in terms of like where they can be performed, how they can be performed. Card magic is super accessible, very impromptu in nature, good for close-up. Mentalism is similar, but does have drawbacks and that card magic doesn't have, right? Same thing, right? Some stuff you can't do for stage. You can't do stage just anywhere on the streets in a lot of cases. So performing environments can be a thing. Everyday carry and props and what you want to have on you all the time. You're going to get asked at a certain point, if you pursue this long enough, like people are going to find out. People are just in your everyday life are going to want to see magic, and you're going to want to show it to them. Do you need to carry around a huge prop with you all the time, right? Is that something you want? Or do you just want to be able to have a deck of cards in your pocket, right? Do you want to be able to just do things with your phone, right? Do you want to be able to just do things with your words? These are things to consider. And then lastly, you can look at the spectators, how you want them to view you. It is a performance art at the end of the day, so what kind of performance you want to give is also valuable. I mentioned at the beginning about catching the bug, and ultimately I think that is a bit of a double-edged sword. Ultimately, it is something you need to grow out of, in my opinion, without a doubt. You can't always just have that want to learn the next best thing all the time. You need to work with the things you have at a certain point. I do think early on it can be a decent way to just kind of dive head first and get a lot of knowledge, because you do need to start with a knowledge base before you can kind of get sort of good at other things. I think that's a good approach, but you don't want to be in this scenario for too long. So ultimately I'm saying don't catch the bug, but more so if you do, just make sure you can grow out of that. You need to move past that to start practicing and mastering the things that you do have. There's so many secrets out there, and you don't want to be the person who does everything and knows everything just a little bit, right? You want to be able to know in depth and deeply and be able to do higher level things in certain avenues so that you can really bring the best out of you and your magic. Ultimately, if you do follow this path, you will without a doubt arrive at a point where you never perform because you're not comfortable with anything, right? You're afraid of performing because things never go according to plan because you're not well versed in one effect, right? You know so many. You're doing a different effect every single person you meet. You need to be showing the same effect to every different person you meet to get good at it, to figure out what could go wrong, to figure out how to handle it. So the benefits of doing this is, first and foremost, it will help cure your performance anxiety. When you do that same effect or same couple of effects over and over to a point of mastery, you will never be worried about it going wrong because you will have had it go wrong in the past. And whether you're able to save it or not, if you saved it, great. If you didn't, you now know what went wrong and can avoid making that mistake again. You have a level of sort of fluidity where you can just do the magic and you don't have to think about things too hard. They just happen, right? You can focus on the performance and you'll see how much better your performing gets at that stage. You know, all my routines are rehearsed so well that, you know, I'm sure you've noticed that I often say the same things, have some of the same jokes, and orchestrate the same moments in a lot of the routines. And that's just because I'm not thinking, I'm just doing, right? My mouth is just going autopilot, my hands are going autopilot, and the rest of my brain is focused on, you know, what everyone's doing, making sure I address anything that could be going astray, making sure that I'm bringing energy and making sure everyone's, you know, enjoying the performance. This will so much boost your confidence to have these core effects and know and have your lane paved out for you. You'll have that clear-cut path because there's nothing worse than spinning your wheels over and over because you don't have a clear-cut path. So sit down, write down what you want, what you like, and pick some concrete things and work on those for a few months, and you'll be amazed at what you can do. If you're the type of person who is always forgetting the patter or always forgetting what to say, what to do, you're awkward, you're stumbling over your words, or maybe you're the type of person who you can't remember what to do in a trick, or you do know a trick and then you do it and someone asks to see something else and you can't think of the next trick to do because you just know so many, or you're just drawing a blank, you can't think of what you're supposed to say, what you're supposed to do. All of this will help when you narrow things down, take a minimalist approach, and try to achieve a level of mastery over those things. As they say, you don't want to be a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Or at least that's the way I interpret that. I don't think you necessarily want to be a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Maybe try to be a jack of all trades and a master of some. But realistically, you want to be a master of some, right? A master of a few things, master of something, at least one thing. And that'll just make your life so much easier. You won't connect with your audience as much if you're not as comfortable. You're actually doing them a disservice, right? Every time you perform, giving them the best experience they could have. And to me, that should be your job as an entertainer. Again, even if you're doing this as a hobby, I still think, you know, you'll build such a better experience. You'll have people enjoy it way more, and ultimately I think that's what we all kind of do it for. We want to bring joy to people. Now, I do want to say it is good to expand your repertoire, do new things, try new things, right? At a certain point, you know, you'll get to a point like somewhere where I am now where I can learn a routine and go perform it right away. Because as long as I can remember, and I have a pretty good memory, as long as I can remember the steps, I can use a part of my brain to execute that and the other part to perform, and I can do a decent job, and if things go wrong, I can jazz out of it, and I kind of know what to expect. But you don't get to that point unless you've mastered other things, right? I have a level of mastery over the subject where if something goes one way, I have a good enough knowledge base to be able to work my way out of it or work my way back to where I need to be, and then I can actually execute those things with my hands, right? Because I have a level of mastery over it. But it is good to expand your repertoire too, but only when you're ready. You know, once you have a level of mastery where you feel confident over even just one trick, then introduce the second one. I know it's tempting to keep adding new things and jumping, but at a certain point, you'll probably stop adding things altogether. You know, it's very rare that I'm adding things these days. The only things that I add on a fairly consistent basis are stuff I come up with on my own, and I'm only adding them because I created them and I want to road test them, right? So now how do you kind of work to get better at this? Well, ultimately, you just need to practice. Pick something like I've mentioned and practice it, right? Practice makes perfect, and that's ultimately what you should be striving for. Hone in your trick list. right? So you've picked your branch of magic, right? You know what your goals are. You've started to get a level of mastery over it. Now within that, pick tricks, right? Maybe you've created a trick that's your favorite, so perform that. Get really confident. Every time someone asks to see a trick, show them that. Every time someone asks to see a trick, there's 2 effects I'm usually showing them as my opener, right? Because I'm confident with those. First impressions are so important. So I'm gonna do the ones that I'm very confident with, right? That hit really hard. So you'll make a list, you'll see, if you want it impromptu, if you want it to use a regular deck, if you want it to be hard hitting, and then you can narrow down, hone in your trick list to a list of a few that you are really going to become a master and really confident at. Ultimately, the whole message of this video is to just pick your niche and stick with it. A great technique is to make like 1 to 3 trick routines. So if you do three trick routines, that's 9 tricks. That's a lot. Should take lots of time to build up to that. Start with 1 trick, and then maybe try a 3 trick routine where you have 3 tricks that kind of flow together. They go in, they're structured in a sequence that makes sense, with probably the last one being the hardest hitting, first one maybe the second hardest hitting, and go from there and get super comfortable with that. Show that to everyone who asks to see some magic. And then maybe you add in a second one so that you have a bit of variety in case a same person asks to see more magic later on. And then you can even expand to a third one, but try to do that and you'll get so much more confident. You'll have so much more ease in performing. You won't have to stress about what trick am I gonna do next, right? It'll just come easy. And finally, I wanna touch on when you should expand, particularly to a new niche. I talked about like trick-wise, when you should look at maybe getting new tricks, but when should you pick a new niche? Right? Why did I decide to pursue mentalism after so many years of card magic? I think when you get to a point, you'll know when maybe there's few things that you're learning that seem new, right? At least from like a knowledge-based perspective. When you can kind of pick up a new move and get it down fairly quickly, like within practicing it for an hour or something like that, you can get it down to a level where you can like get away with it, where you can jazz easily out of situations, right? Because of your knowledge and your ability to apply all kinds of techniques to get yourself out of whatever you end up into. When you start to feel like this, you'll almost have a sense of boredom with the subject come over you, because you're like, well, there's nowhere else for me to go, right? At least that's how it manifested for me. Maybe it won't be for everyone. It wasn't, I'm bored, I want to stop doing this. It was just like, I need that next thing. And I don't think there was that next thing within a deck of cards. And so I expanded. And now I'm at a point where I feel very happy with what I do in terms of magic. So look for that for yourself. And I wish you the best of luck on your journey. So guys, that is it for Dear Magicians episode 5. This was a really interesting video. I think the topic of discussion is very important and something unique, something I haven't really heard talked about much here on YouTube in terms of a theoretical magic perspective. And hopefully you agree with my perspective on this. Ultimately, I'm just trying to help you out. So if you have been struggling, sort of spinning your wheels, try some of the advice I give out in this video. And I have a strong feeling it'll help you out, because it is very important and something that I think is super helpful. So if you like this video, please do me a favor, hit that like button, drop me a comment if you're extra special, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And if you would like to check out some private lessons, you absolutely can at the link below. So with all that said, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Welcome all the new subscribers. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.